Hey guys, welcome. So glad you could join for today's practice. We're going to focus on a strong forward folding practice today in an effort to create good space in the back body, right? Hamstrings, glutes, low back, that whole area. But also notice how a practice of forward folds can maybe some days help to cultivate a little bit quieter space or to settle our energy when things are feeling a little bit frazzled. And some days this is true and some days it's not, right? Different practices affect us differently on different days. So, really, the most important thing is you notice what the shift is for you in the practice today. If you have some blocks, that might be nice to have, especially if you know that you're flexibility challenged along the back line of the body. Sometimes support of the blocks is really nice. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started for this little shorter practice today in child's pose with your knees together. And then rest your belly down towards your thighs, walk your arms out in front, and let your forehead settle to or towards your mat or to a block or some support there. Close your eyes. Just start to bring your attention to your breath. One of the simplest but most effective ways I find to just start to shift our focus, our attention, right, from the outer to the inner. And just even notice how you're feeling, energy level right now, emotional space right now. So you get that really good before picture before we begin the practice. And in this child's pose here with knees together, you can likely feel your belly press against your thighs as you bring breath there. See if you can also start to bring some breath into the back of the body. Low back, that space of the lower ribs, and just start to fill up that direction as well. And just take a few more breaths like that. Slow, steady. Shift the attention inside. Walk your hands forward. Stretch your hips up and back, downward facing dog. And instead of movement in this down dog, I invite you to take a few breaths in stillness. Starting to shift our physical body into that quieter space. And then what does that do for mind, for attention? And so really start to anchor through your hands. Press back through your feet and your heels. You may keep a bend in your knees, especially if that's feeling a little tighter along the back line of the body this morning. But just find the place that starts to feel stable, rooted. Notice if there's the want to fidget. And then that anchor down just a little more. And then take nice small little steps forward up towards the front of your mat. Bend your knees at any point along the way. And then if you want blocks, just have them up by the front of your mat. That's going to be a great place to have them to start with. But here, go ahead, take a hold of opposite elbows. You can keep knees bent or legs to or towards straight. And start to strengthen as you press down from hips to feet, but draw up kneecaps towards thighs. And squeeze your legs to center. And roll your upper inner thighs back and wide. Start to create a little bit more space between your sitting bones. Let your head get heavy, your upper body get heavy, just to create a little more traction there. And start to cultivate a rhythm of breath that feels strong but steady. And release your hands. Bring your hands to your mat. Step your left foot back, pyramid pose. So you're going to take a short enough stance so that your whole back heel is down. You may walk your left foot out just a little bit to the left. A little wider stance can be nice for more stability and sometimes more space for the hips. Here's a great place to start with blocks if you want that. Sometimes, especially if you have long legs and shorter arms, can make it harder to get hands down towards the mat. And so find the support that's going to work best for you throughout the practice today. Just like you did in that first forward fold, hug your legs to center. Press back through your back heel. As you draw the crease of your left hip back, squeeze your left kneecap up towards your left thigh. Heavy through your head. And just listen to where there's sensation. Make sure it's at that right place for you, enough but not too much. Next, inhale, lift halfway, and then take a big step forward back to the front of your mat. And exhale, fold. Switch sides, step your left foot back. Right? So again, short enough stance so that your back heel is down. You can take your right foot out a little wider to the right and turn your left toes out an inch or two to the left. Okay, stay with blocks if that feels good. And then hug your legs into center like you're squeezing the inner thighs towards one another. Roll the crease of your right hip back. And then press down through the outer edge of your left heel. Let your upper body get heavy and fold towards your thigh, right? And for some of us, that still might be fairly upright. Some might be a little bit closer, just depending on range of motion there. Next, inhale, lift halfway. Take a big step all the way forward. Exhale, fold. And you can take your feet hip width apart here. Right, big toes together if that feels good. Sometimes the stability, though, of a little wider stance feels good. And then next, inhale, lift and lengthen halfway. Walk your hands forward so they're underneath your shoulders. You might have blocks. At any point, you can use blocks. So nice for forward folds. You're going to take your right hand to your hip, walk your left hand to the middle of your mat. Press strongly into your feet. As you inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head. And as you exhale, twist to your right, revolved Uttanasana. And keep anchoring through your feet. Stay long through your spine. You can keep your hand to your hip. Sometimes that feels a little more supportive. Or you can reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. Right. And if the left hip wants to slide forward a little bit with a twist, that can be a nice place to be. Sometimes it feels like it eases pressure on your low back. Good. Spread out wide through your hands and draw your right shoulder blade onto your back. And inhale, unwind. Exhale, fold. Lift halfway, breath in. And then right hand to the center of your mat, to the right, all the way to the mat or to a block, left hand to your hip. Strong legs press down. Lengthen from tailbone to crown, and then twist to your left. Keep hand to hip or reach your arm up. Right? And again, it might feel better to let the hip slide with you a little bit into the twist. Right? Sometimes we're used to just fixating the pelvis, and that can be good for isolating a little bit more through the upper back. But it also might give you some tension on your low back if that's something that you're prone to. Good. Inhale, unwind. Exhale, fold. And bring your hands to your hips, and then really slowly, we've been head down for a while. Inhale, stand all the way up. Exhale, bring your hands together at your heart. Take a breath. So that blood flow starts to come down from upper body to lower body. Both arms up, inhale. And hinge, fold forward, exhale. Plant your hands, step your right foot back, low lunge. You can walk your hands to frame your front foot, another great place for blocks if you want a little bit more height there. Hug your legs in. And then roll your right inner thigh up towards the ceiling. It starts to get strong and steady and maybe help level out through the pelvis. Find a little tone through your low belly and your low ribs. So that even as we stay low here, right, the legs are working really strongly, but the energy stays a little bit more grounded. But we don't want to collapse the body forward onto the thigh. Find a little support there. Good. And then take another full breath in. And as you exhale, pivot your feet to the long end of your mat. You may need to work just to parallel your feet there, organize your feet with toes pointing straight forward. Inhale, press into your feet, lift and lengthen halfway, and then exhale, fold. Let's do that a couple times. Anchor into your feet. Inhale, lift and lengthen. So you can walk your hands forward so they're underneath your shoulders. Exhale, fold. One more, lengthen, lift halfway. Exhale, fold, and then walk your hands to the back of your mat. Pivot your feet so you're in low lunge. And you might need to take your feet out maybe a little wider side to side. Find the place that feels stable. Check to see that your front knee is stacked over your ankle or a little bit behind, just as long as it's not coming forward. And then hug your legs to center. And get strong through your outer right hip. Draw the sitting bone in and under. Stay lifted through your low belly and low ribs. And just keep the top of your head stretching forward so it doesn't feel like you're hanging, just like not collapsing the belly, don't collapse head. Quiet but strong. And plant your hands, step back, high plank. Take a full breath in. And then either with bent knees or straight legs, lower all the way to your belly. Good. Untuck your toes, press the tops of your feet down. Stretch your arms back by your sides. Turn your palms down. And with your inhale, lift up through head, chest, arms. Exhale, lower down. Inhale again, lift up through head, chest, arms, and then stay here. This time, maybe float legs up as well, right? If that causes any discomfort in the low back, you can keep feet down. With the idea being here just to start to bring some strength now to the back body, right? We're creating some length, some opening with the forward folds. Hug back in, bring muscle back to bone. And lower all the way down, hands by your ribs, stretch back, down dog. Good. Root hands, anchor through feet. Inhale, right leg up and back. Exhale, step through. So you are right foot forward again. This time bring your left knee down and then slide your hips back, Ardha Hanuman half splits. Yep, another great place for blocks if you want that here. Right. And you can start to wiggle your right heel forward. Right. For some of us, we have a fair amount of range of motion here. For others, it's like this is the end point here. This is even pushing the end range of motion. If you have a little bit more, just start to explore that. Right heel forward. You can pick up your left knee, slide it back. You by no means need to go to full splits unless that's something your body just slides right into. Right, but just finding where that edge is for you here. Keep your front heel squeezing towards your back knee so there's some stability to center. And then the crease of your right hip drawing back. Take a full round of breath. And then if you slid your left knee back, bring it forward. Slide your right foot back until your left hip is stacked over your knee. And with your next inhale, come forward, bend your front knee. Walk your hands forward to frame your front foot. A little squeeze again of front heel towards back knee. Tone through your belly. And then let the pelvis settle forward a little bit, get heavy. And sometimes just keeping the upper body lower, right, where we're not coming up in the lunges, helps things stay a little bit more grounded, heavier to the earth, which can create a little bit quieter space within our bodies, within our nervous system, within the mind. And lift your back knee, inhale, pivot your feet to the long end of your mat. Exhale, fold. And just take a moment, organize your feet so they're parallel to one another with your toes pointing forward. Walk your hands back, keep them shoulder width apart. Bend your elbows, and range of motion might just determine how far they come back. Really press down through the pinky edges of your feet and lift up a little bit more through the inner arches. Good. Head heavy. Can even shake out yes and no. Let the neck release. Good. Inhale, lift halfway, walk your hands forward underneath your shoulders. As you exhale, walk to the front of your mat. And so you might need to step right foot out a little wider and then bring right knee down to your mat. Okay, shift your hips back. Ardha Hanuman, half splits. If you want blocks, grab blocks. And then just see where that range of motion is for this side. And so as you flex your foot, press your left heel down. And you might stay right here. Or start to wiggle your left heel forward just a little bit. And then your right knee back. And that might just come in a couple breaths. Good. Keep pressing down into your left heel and traction your left heel back. Keep that leg strength and the strength of the hamstrings. Take another full round of breath. And inhale, come forward, bend your front knee, walk your hands forward to frame your front foot. Right? And if you took that wider stance, just bring it back to what feels like your regular Anjaneya, but with hands down. Tone through belly. And so there's a lot of support as you let the hips get heavy and settle down with gravity towards the earth. And if you have your blocks, set those off to the side. Plant your hands, lift your back knee, step back, high plank. Okay, really get strong through your hands here for support. So grip with your fingertips and press down from your shoulders to your hands. Okay, with your inhale, float your right leg just an inch or so up off the mat and pull back from your heel to your hip. Now get that strength on the back line of the body to turn on. And just like we did before in that locust, and then right foot down. Inhale, float your left foot up. You can see if you can keep pelvis level, belly toned, strong hands. Full breath in. And then exhale, both feet down. Lift your hips up and back, down dog. Take 2 full rounds of breath. Anchor through hands. Anchor through feet. Right, you can keep knees bent if that feels better, but stretch hips up and back. And with your next inhale, lift to your toes. Bend your knees, look forward. Walk, step, or hop front of your mat. And inhale, lift halfway. And then keep the half lift in your spine. Walk your hands forward so they're underneath your shoulders. Yep, again, maybe blocks here. Oh, they really can help a lot. Okay, so shift your weight into your left foot and then reach your right leg up and back, standing splits. Take a moment to level out through your pelvis. So as you flex your right foot, roll your inner right thigh up towards the ceiling. Right, that might ask for a little bit more support through the belly. Okay, and then you can stay here, hands for support. Or start to walk your hands back to frame your front foot. That's going to take you maybe a little deeper in the forward fold. If you want to challenge balance here, take one hand or both behind your right ankle or right calf. You listen to your breath. Make sure you're breathing. As you start to bring in those little fluctuations through the foot, the ankle with the balance, how do we still stay in that quiet, steady space of the forward fold? And if hands are to foot, unwind, take a breath in, and then exhale, both feet back down. Okay, switch sides and into your right foot. Bring your left foot up. Flex your foot. Roll your inner thigh up. And then really press down from right hip to right foot so that feels strong and supported. And then find the place that works best for you. You can stay right here. Walk your hands back. Or take a hold behind ankle or foot, calf, with one or both hands.
Keep your back leg strong, just like you did in that plank pose. Draw back from your heel towards your hip. I mean, the leg's not going to move, it just feels like it's plugging in a little firmer. Root down through your right foot. Steady your breath. And release your hands, unwind, inhale. And then exhale, both feet down to your mat, fold forward. Take a full round of breath. Inhale, lift halfway. Set your blocks off to the side. Plant your hands, step back plank. Good. Root through your hands, get strong, tone through your belly. Inhale, float your left leg, right, a couple inches, a foot up off the mat. Stay long out through the top of your head and hug your heel back towards your sitting bone. And left foot down, inhale, right foot up. Right, and it might just float a little bit. You might just shift weight and get that back line of the leg to turn on. Good. Both feet down, lift hips, down dog. Okay, from here, walk your hands back to your feet. Come to the back end of your mat. Bring your hands to your hips with strong legs. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, bring hands together at your heart. And just let that transition be slow. Sometimes we just make that movement from head below heart for so long. Standing up feels like a whole nother world. Okay, start with feet together. Find a focus point for your eyes. Stand into your left foot. And then bring your right knee up to your chest, flex your foot. Okay, stand tall. Take a full breath in. Now with your exhale, step your right foot forward. Inhale, lift your left leg up, warrior three. Hands to heart, or sweep your arms back. Okay, and if standing splits with that hands down support of the blocks feels like a better place to be today, do that. Okay, just like that, leg lifted in plank, flex your foot. Roll your inner thigh up, and then squeeze from your heel back towards your sitting bones. And you press down into your right foot and breathe. Full breath in. And then with your exhale, bring your hands down to your mat. You can bend your right knee to get there, and then bring your left foot down to meet it. So you come to forward fold here in the middle of your mat. And then go ahead, bend both knees. Take your feet so they're hip width apart. Take your peace sign fingers, wrap them around your big toes. And if that seems like, not today, take a hold of opposite elbows like that forward fold where we started. Sometimes if you bend your knees enough, big bend in the knees, it'll get there. Sometimes. Okay, and then press down into your feet. Squeeze your legs towards center. And roll your sitting bones up, back, and apart. And then squeeze your kneecaps up towards your thighs. Sometimes we get the strength of the quads to turn on, gives a little bit more space along the back line of the legs and hips and low back. And then release your toes, bring your hands to your hips slowly. Come all the way up to standing. I just notice that different from head above heart to head below heart. Bring hands together at your heart. I'm going to start with feet together. Press down strongly. Shift your weight to your right foot. Bring your left knee up, flex your foot. Take a breath in, stand tall. Exhale, step your foot forward and float your right leg up, warrior three. All right, now it might just lift a few inches or a foot off the mat, or your leg might come parallel. Just keep your upper body in proportion, so it's like one long line from crown to heel. Right, that there's that pendulum along the way. Hands to heart or stretch back. Roll your right inner thigh up. With your right foot flexed, squeeze like you could draw your heel back towards your sitting bone. Right, the leg's still straight, but we're just plugging it in, strengthening the back line. And then anchor down left hip to left foot. Take one more full breath in. With your exhale, bend your left knee, bring your hands down to your mat. Inhale here, and then exhale, both feet down. Feet hip width apart. And then again, take a generous bend in your knees. This time, slide your palms up underneath your feet, Padahastasana. Or come back to fingers, peace sign fingers, or ragdoll with opposite elbows. Knees bent or working towards straight. Inner legs strong. Sitting bones up, back, and wide. See if you can shift a little bit of the weight forward to the balls of your feet and even press toes down, like working toes towards the creases of your wrist and not too big towards, just sending them in that direction. Good. And then release your hands, plant your hands, step back, high plank. Take a full breath in, and then exhale, lower all the way down. Good. Reach your arms back by your sides, turn your palms down. And then with your inhale, lift up through head, chest, arms, and maybe float legs up as well. Right, stretch your fingertips back. And again, squeeze, heels like you're squeezing them up towards your sitting bones. Inhale. Exhale, lower all the way down. Bring your hands by your ribs. Stretch back, child's pose, knees together. Let your head come down to or towards your mat. Keep your arms out in front or stretch them back by your sides. And slow down your breath. And just notice how things feel now. Body, mind, breath. Even in that span of a little shorter practice. And walk your hands back. Sit on your heels. Shift your hips. Come to lying all the way down on your back. And then once you're there, hug your knees into your chest. Give a good squeeze of your belly in towards your thighs. And then release, bring your right foot down to your mat. Cross your left ankle to right thigh. Then release your left foot back down to your mat. Cross right ankle to left thigh, figure four. Okay, you can stay here, just a nice outer hip opener after all the standing work, or draw your left thigh in. Interlace your hands behind your hamstrings. And if you brought the left thigh in, play with stretching the left leg straight. Flex your foot and press your left heel up towards the ceiling. See if you can move from the strength of your outer hip, your right knee away from your shoulder. And then press the back of your left leg, the straight leg, into your hands. And resist that, draw your hands back onto the thighs. And release, bend your left leg, place your foot. And just switch, right foot down, left ankle, right thigh. Right, stay here. You might be like, this is enough for my hamstrings into outer hip. Great. Or draw your thigh in, take a hold, and then straighten your leg. And you can play with here. I find it's nice to kind of hold right at the belly of the muscle on your right hamstrings. So your hands are interlaced right in the middle. Flex your feet. Press up through your right heel. And then press your hamstrings into your hand and your hand back into your hamstrings. And see if from the strength of your outer hip, you can move your left knee away a little bit more. And release, unwind, hug both thighs in again. This time, curl your forehead up to your knees, Big inhale, big breath in. And then exhale, release Shavasana. If constructive rest pose sounds good, feet wide, knees together, go there, or some support underneath your knees. Sometimes that's nice for your lower back. Give your legs some space. You can bring hands to belly or stretch them long by your sides. And with eyes closed, just let your attention stay inside. Feeling breath. Noticing sensation in body now. Noticing any shifts from your practice. And just how it affected you today. And this same practice might affect you differently on a different day. It's always interesting to try. And some days the ones that soothe us on another day can stir some things up. And the most important part is just that we listen and we notice. And take a few more full breaths here. With your next inhale, take a full stretch, reach your arms up. As you exhale, draw your knees towards your chest and roll to your side. Use your hands, press all the way back up to sitting. And draw your hands together at your heart. And sit tall, heart to hands, bow head to heart, to yourself, to your practice. Namaste.